I am a huge Avatar hater.
So, wow. How about that Doomsday trailer?
It sucked. It wasn't even a trailer. It sucked.
Did you like the part where?
Nope, I did not. I did not like any of the parts.
Did you sit through it and
I
get
did.
through it?
I did watch it.
Did you like the countdown at the end where it said it was a year, even though it actually wasn't exactly a year?
Correct. Correct. I did not like it at all. In fact, I actively despise it. We talked a little bit about this in the parking lot after we saw, because we actually we're in person, obviously, and we saw Avatar together. We don't know each other's thoughts on it yet, but
Oh, we know each other's thoughts on Doomsday.
But we know each other's thoughts on the Doomsday trailer, and I hated it. I hate the fact. Okay, here's the thing. I do not hate the fact that they're bringing back Steve Rogers necessarily. I hate the fact that that's what they announce a year in advance. Because that obviously, so there's supposed to be 4 of these different Doomsday trailers.
Yeah.
And now it makes it seem like presumably the other 4 trailers are going to be introductions to characters that didn't get a chair reveal. But at the same time, if you're just doing this, why not give them a chair reveal in my eyes? I also hated the chair reveal. We've talked about this ad nauseum on the podcast that I hate the chair reveal. And for the same reasons that I hate the chair reveal, I also hate this because it takes away any surprise, any gusto, like when Steve Rogers pops up on screen, I'm not going to lose my mind like I did at moments during Endgame. I'm going to be like, oh, I knew this was coming a year in advance.
So the thing with this trailer, and I
don't even want to call it a trailer.
With this promo.
Yeah, promo. Let's call it a promo. Yeah.
Promo's more appropriate. The thing with this is that I'm not mad that Steve Rogers is back. If anything, I'm honestly okay with it. Does it kind of make everybody sit there and go, what was the past 6 years for?
Yeah.
It's kind of a big FU to the entire fandom who's watched it because now, okay, Steve Rogers is back. The thing with these promos, and this isn't confirmed, but more like not, it's probably true. They're only doing promos for who are like the main characters of Doomsday, who are going to be the main hitters.
See, I hope that it's not. I know where you're coming from, but I hope that Steve isn't a main character. If Steve's a main character, but that's the other thing. If Steve's not a main character, then why announce him a year in advance?
He's a main character.
But then what? Yeah, your point to what the past 6 years was. Well, then what was the point of Sam Wilson's Captain America? Because the big thing is, I think they misunderstand why people didn't like Cap 4, the one that came out earlier this year.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It wasn't the fact that it was Sam Wilson. I enjoyed Sam Wilson being Captain America.
Yeah.
It's just it wasn't a good movie because clearly they didn't shoot it properly and they had so many different plot lines and different cuts of the movie and all of this.
It all ended up on the cutting room floor that just got swiped away for no reason.
Correct.
Captain America Brave New World, we said this on one of the first episodes we ever did, mind you.
Correct.
We said this. I don't hate Brave New World.
No.
There is a film of Brave New World out there where it's very close to perfect. The issue is there were so many reshoots and this and that. Giancarlo Esposito was not supposed to be Sidewinder. It was Seth Rollins who was originally supposed to be Sidewinder. Like there was a whole overhaul of this entire project, and that's what makes that movie that. That being said, the one thing the movie did great was it sold in Anthony Mackie as Captain America. So it does kind of make it interesting, saying, hey, he's not going to be the main character. Even though, even in Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, they're setting him up to be a bigger player. Sam and Bucky's whole feud with each other.
Yeah.
So it's like, why bring Steve back as a main player? There's going to be a reason. And whatever reason it is, clearly this is the reason that got the Russo brothers back involved and whatnot. Because they originally weren't going to do it.
And we talked about this in the parking lot, but my biggest fear is that they're bringing Cap back because they don't understand why people didn't like the past 6 years. And their thought is, well, they liked Chris Evans as Captain America, so if we bring him back, it automatically makes it good. That's not how that works.
No, but I think they know that. I don't think that's the reason why. I just on context was I think it's more so like, hey, this is the one character that isn't tainted, and we're not going to taint it by ruining a movie. But people can love this character even 6 years after the last one ended. Unlike the other ones where it's harder, even still with the 6 years of movies, like, Shang-Chi is not as popular as Captain America. Anthony Mackie's Captain America is not as popular as Steve Rogers' Captain America. That's the whole. I'm not saying that's the whole point, but that's probably a big reason why they're bringing back Steve Rogers is because they know they can connect to it. It's something. Hey, if they are like people are saying, they're going to reset the MCU after this movie or after Secret Wars, technically.
Mm-hmm.
That's a more ideal approach is to bring back the character that people can just connect to easily to tell the more coherent story, especially with a RDJ Doctor New. From what I understand, and I could be entirely wrong, I haven't been leaked anything else other than the second promo that's supposed to come out next weekend.
Yeah.
And if the next promo leads to anything to believe, it's not a reveal for new people. It's just the reveal of the main players. So Steve Rogers, and that's probably why they did his first, to rip the Band-Aid off, because everybody knew that was going to be, your argument was going to be the case. Theoretically, even though I know exactly what it is, and I don't care about talking on the podcast, I'm going to say anyway, Thor is the next promo.
Okay, interesting.
Thor should be the next promo.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know.
Okay.
Reed Richards probably is going to be one of them, or Sue Storm, one of the two of them, because she's going to be a major part. And then the last one is Doom.
I mean, if the last one's Doom, that's fine. But I just, again, I don't. I've talked about this at nauseum, and I don't want to beat a dead horse with this, but I feel like that's like 90% of what this podcast is just us hating, or me hating on movie trailers and hating on promotion cycles and marketing cycles, and people need to learn when to shut up.
We'll get to that in a second, because there's a good transition with that. I think the thing this is the question I want to ask you about this.
Okay.
Would you have preferred to have a different character in place of Steve Rogers' promo? Would that have made it better for all four promos?
So can I answer I would have rather them not do anything, or does I have to say?
No, you can answer.
My honest answer is don't do this. My honest answer is don't do a year in advance promo where you're revealing characters like this. They've already given us so much more about this movie than any other Marvel movie in history. You had a 7-hour chair reveal for this movie already. Now you're giving us a video promo.
Yeah.
Plus, every single movie that we've had over the last 6 years has ended with Will return in Doomsday. You're building up this movie not correctly, because Endgame was so good because Endgame had 10 years to build up to it, and it was interconnected in every single one of those movies. You don't have that for Doomsday at all. And you can say, oh, well, you just mentioned that they'll return in Doomsday. That's not connecting it, though.
Right. Let's segue with that, because I really like that you mentioned the whole trailers give away too much, and they give away everything nowadays. Let's talk about something that happened last. What happened last night, Brandon?
No. We'll talk about that later.
You want to talk about that later?
I want to talk about that later, after we get through the cold open. I do want to talk about another thing, and this is what I thought you were segueing to. I want to talk about something that neither of us have seen, because we're talking about Avatar. We'll get into that when we get our intro and blah blah blah, whatever. Big whoop, but. We have not seen the 6-minute or 7-minute Odyssey opening, and we did not see Avatar in IMAX. We'll get into the reasons later, but we have not seen the 7-minute Odyssey thing.
Yeah.
Are you going to watch it?
It kind of goes into what my thoughts are on the movie, but yeah, I'll sit through Avatar again to go watch that 6 minutes, even if I just buy the ticket to go watch the 6 minutes and leave.
So you are going to see it. You do want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Okay.
I don't know if it counts, but like I already said, like I wouldn't mind doing Avatar again for like the 4DX thing, because it'd beat the crap out of me with Superman.
But here's the thing. They specifically said it's only an IMAX.
It's only
so
IMAX.
I don't know if you'd get the Odyssey in front of
you get the first 6 minutes of Odyssey in 4DX. Just get the ever-loving.
Well, that's I think another reason why they wouldn't do that is because
yeah.
Granted, I don't think 4DX trailer or like the trailers for 4DX movies are in 4DX, but yeah. But for me, I'm not. So I thought about it on the drive over here. I'm not going to watch it because Odyssey is my most anticipated movie of next year. Above Doomsday, above Brand New Day, above every movie, Odyssey is my number one. I was a huge Greek mythology nerd growing up. I love the Odyssey. I think it is I've never read it, but I know a lot about it. And it's freaking Christopher Nolan.
It's Nolan.
It's Nolan with a known quantity of an amazing story.
One of the greatest stories probably ever.
The only thing that gives me like any form of like this could not be the best it could be is, and we might have even talked about this offline before, but Nolan isn't known for having the best combat. And this is going to be a very combat, big, large scale, small scale battle movie. Yeah. And Nolan is not known for his combat. However, I don't think that he would. I think because of the importance of the combat in this movie, he probably brought in other people to help out and make that better. At least I hope that he did. Yeah. So, but no, I don't want to see it because I'm already so hyped for it. And I already complained so much about marketing cycles giving away so much and then making you wait. Yeah. I don't want to watch this first 6 minutes of the movie and then wait a year. That's literally giving myself blue balls on purpose. I'm not going to do that.
I guess it's fair. I don't know. My thing is like, yeah, his combat's not the greatest, but I want to see in 6 minutes because I'm greedy and I want to see it.
Well, fair enough. We saw Avatar with another friend of ours who already had seen it. This was his second time seeing it, and he saw it in IMAX. So he saw the 6 minutes of Odyssey, and he said that it made him even more like he thought he couldn't get more hyped, and it made him even more hyped. My thing is, cool. I really genuinely don't care though, because this promo is to get people to go see the movie. I'm already gonna go see the movie, so why do I need to see this? Like, the whole point of a trailer is to go get you to see a movie. And here's the thing. We'll talk about something, which is what Carson was originally segueing to, but we'll talk about that after the intro, of a thing that I saw because of a trailer that I never would have even known about beforehand. So there is a world for trailers, but a lot of Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, all of these types of trailers. Well, I can't remember Star Wars because I actually don't think the Grogu trailer gave away all that much. So
no, it didn't. But that's a different conversation.
But it is because you're building off of the TV show and you already know the general. Like it is slightly different.
And I think the difference with that is talk about things that you're excited for next year. I don't know if I'm excited for that.
I'm excited to see the end of the Mandalorian saga.
I guess,
but at the same time, I just don't.
I'm worried.
The trailer made me want to go see the movie, but I already was going to see the movie. Yeah. But I don't know anything other than that, so it's like
it's just weird because I think I'm more worried for that than I am Doomsday at this point. Like
I'm more worried. Here's the thing: I'm more worried for Doomsday, but no offense to Mandalorian and Grogu, I'm only more worried for Doomsday because I care more about Doomsday. If Mandalorian and Grogu isn't good, I'm going to be upset about it, obviously, and we're going to rant about it on the podcast, but it's not going to be the end of the world. If Doomsday is bad, I would be pretty pissed off about it. Even though you can make the argument of like, oh, why did you put trust in Marvel, blah, blah, blah. Shut up. I don't care. That doesn't work on me. I don't care. My whole thing is I love Marvel so much. Like, I'm never mind. But like, I love Marvel so much that I really want them to succeed with this. No offense if they don't succeed with Mandalorian and Grogu. I mean, I'm not wearing my Star Wars hat now. I forgot to bring it down to Florida with me, but I love Star Wars so much as well. But at the same time, as much as I love Mandalorian and Grogu, if that section of the Star Wars universe doesn't pay off all that well, there's other stories in the Star Wars universe that can pay off. This isn't a magnum opus movie, essentially, is what I'm getting at. A magnum opus movie is Doomsday. So that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Yeah. Well, and Mandalorian kind of kicked off a whole separate story other than Andor. It's all interconnected. You have Ahsoka,
Thrawn,
you have all of that that's now connected. So even if Mandalorian Grogu ends, the story itself is still going.
Thrawn is one of the best villains in Star Wars, and he's had 5 minutes of screen time, but he's mainly been in the books. So if they pull off Thrawn in live action with the movie that they're making, or I think it's either a movie or a series, that could be one of the best Star Wars properties, because Thrawn is genuinely an amazing character.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, we also did get him in Rebels, so technically, this is the first live action. But yeah, we got Thrawn in Rebels, and he's mainly in the books as well. But I love Thrawn. Darth Vader is still my one and only, but Thrawn is really good.
Thrawn's complex in a different way.
Correct. Well, he's just so methodical and so, like, he's only working for the Empire because it furthers his own wants, but he's also more than willing to push against the Empire when it doesn't serve his wants.
Yeah.
And I just love that complexity in a character and how intelligent he is and the battle strategy that he brings. But
he's like a cooler version of Tarkin. I mean,
true.
I mean,
he really is.
He's a cooler version of Tarkin.
He really is. But yeah, those movies are not coming out for a while. But you know what movie has released? Avatar. Because what's up, Nimrods? It's your boys back with another episode of the Nerdy Nimrods podcast, the only podcast on the internet where your two favorite Nimrods talk all things nerdy. I'm your host for today's episode, Brandon, aka Parrotfish, here with my forever co-host,
Carson, aka Juggernaut.
And today, as we've talked about ad nauseum in the cold open, we are talking about Avatar: Fire and Ash. But we actually have a second thing, unexpectedly, that we're going to talk about before then, The Housemaid. We're not going to go super, super long on The Housemaid because, admittedly, we weren't expecting to talk about it on the podcast. We kind of talked ad nauseum in the parking garage after we saw the movie yesterday, but we are still going to talk about it, and we'll get into why we're talking about it when we get into the review. But before we do any of that, I will go ahead and give it now, even before I ask you how you're doing. Big spoiler warning for Avatar: Fire and Ash and The Housemaid. And in fact, for both of those, I think spoilers are very important. Especially for The Housemaid. Go in knowing as little as possible as you can. But big spoiler warning, this is your one and only spoiler warning. With that out of the way, Carson, how you doing?
I'm tired. I've been up since 6 a.m, and I had to sit through a 3-hour and 10-minute movie today, which felt like 5 hours.
Fair enough.
I'm telling you right now, that's not a hint towards my thoughts at all. That's just how I felt in the movie.
Fair enough.
It also doesn't help because during the second one, I was able to look at my phone and look at time and just dictate where we were at. I wasn't able to do that during this one. I turned my phone completely off. So
yeah.
So that's the thing. Other than that, fine. Glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm here in person. I'm here in Florida visiting for the holidays.
I'm glad we have a section of the house we can actually use because the rest of it's still under construction.
Yeah.
You can hear things going on in the background too. There's other things setting up and.
Yeah, I don't know how much editing out of the audio I'm going to be able to do this time. Probably not.
It's really funny though.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm in Florida visiting family for the holidays, so we're here in person.
Hallelujah.
I'm also very tired because I flew in at 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, my flight landed at 8:30 a.m. yesterday, so I was up at 4 a.m. and then didn't go to bed until nearly 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I woke up at 7 or 6:30 this morning, and then So we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. We've already given our spoiler warning. Carson, I know we want to talk about Avatar.
Yeah, let's talk about something.
But let's talk about something else that... Actually, I'm not gonna preamble it, Carson. I'm going to let you give your thoughts on The Housemaid.
Oh, look, I'm not speaking for both of us when I say this, but I kind of am because we talked about this a little bit. This broke my expectations tenfold. If there's one movie that you could look at me and say, what exceeded expectations, what was something you weren't expecting to be good, it would be this movie. This movie had every key stepping stone to fail. The trailer, which I saw once in theaters, did not sell for me. I thought it looked crappy. I thought it was bad. It looked like a Hallmark movie mixed with a really bad thriller.
Yeah.
Watching this movie, going into it, I forgot what it was about. I forgot who was in it. I literally could not even tell you what this was. Completely forgot about it. That being said, this is a film that has a very strong chance to be in my top 10 of the year. Just all across the board. I think the biggest thing, it's just fun.
Yeah.
It is a fun movie. It is tense. I don't think I've been more tense in a movie, like a thriller this year, than this movie. I was tense during Sinners, but this is designed to just keep you on the edge of your seat the entire time. And all the performances from Sydney Sweeney, of all people too, which I'm not a big fan of her acting. Good performance. Amanda Seyfried, good performance. I forgot the guy's name.
Brandon, I know his first name because he shares the first name as me, but the main male actor.
We're gonna call him Guy.
Yeah.
We're gonna call him Guy. Great performance. Again, performances all around in this film are pretty good. There are moments where writing is a little dull, and I don't know if it's because it just got lost in translation from the book to screen adaptation, which sometimes that can happen. But the first 10 minutes of this movie, and because I kept looking at you, I was like, this is stupid. This is poorly acted, poorly set up. How could this be good at all? and then the plot actually kicks in, and you're like, holy crap, this is really good. It's so simple. I think is another good way of saying it. Like, it's not overly complex. It's not a film that is trying to pull anything on you. It's just a really good thriller that keeps you on the edge of your seat with some pretty interesting characters that, you know, that's where it hits its stride, is with its characters. It's very, very good.
I think that's fair. No, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit and give my thoughts, but on The Housemaid, I do think it's really complex. I think that there was an unexpected. The reason why we saw this movie is because we were supposed to see Marty Supreme, but we both didn't realize that it releases on Christmas Day because the AMC app lied to me and said it releases this weekend. So we went and saw The Housemaid, and I had seen one trailer as well. I actually saw it before I saw FNAF, and I turned to a friend of mine and I was like, that looks like it's going to be bad, but for some reason I want to watch it. And I'm so glad I did, because yeah, it might end up in my top 10 of the year this year, because it genuinely, like, the story itself is not that complex, and I can agree with you on that. It's the characters that get really complex.
Yes.
Their motivations get complex. The way the story unfolds. And I was talking with my family after I got back from the movie, and they have no interest in seeing the movie. They're not big movie people, but they had watched the trailer while I was gone, and they asked me, they're like, so who was the killer? And since we're in spoilers, I'll go ahead and tell you. I told them it was the husband the whole time, and it blew their minds. Like, the trailer gives you nothing about what the actual story of this movie is, and it's literally, the first 10 minutes are hard to watch and set it up like it's going to be a easy to predict, cheesy Hallmark movie. But then after you finish the movie and you look back on those first 10 minutes, you know exactly why they did that, and it makes so much sense. And that's where some of that complexity comes in, not necessarily in the story, but in the characters and the motivations and the reason they did the things and the reason they acted certain ways, and maybe the reason why things seem cheesy or forced or stale is because that's how the person in that moment was supposed to be feeling, and that was portrayed really well.
Yeah.
The intensity was there. I think Sydney Sweeney gets a lot of crap for her acting. I haven't seen her in much, to be honest with you. I haven't seen Euphoria. I haven't seen a lot of other things she's in. I think she did a really good job with this movie. Is she the standout? No. That goes to Brandon. Brandon knocked it out of the park. That's not just because he's my name brother. He genuinely brought a really good performance to this. And again, you think back to the certain moments and the hints that were laid up until the twist of him being revealed to be the villain, and his way with words, which I know comes from the writing, but is enhanced by the performance. I think is just done so well and in such a, like, genuinely unexpected way that I thought I predicted this movie multiple times. And it's kind of like another movie that we reviewed last week, Wake Up Dead Man, where Wake Up Dead Man is a better movie, but at the same time, the core of the mystery and the thriller elements in the terms of, like, oh, I think I know where this is going to go, and if they go this way, it'll be interesting, but I won't be that big of a fan. I had similar feelings while I was watching this movie, and then they would go the opposite direction and reveal something that I wasn't expecting. This is a little over 2 hours, and it's like the first hour of the movie, you're like, this is generic, I think I know where this is going, and then one single offhanded line changes your perspective on everything and flips the entire movie for the entire rest of it. When he walks up and goes, the plate's not clean, you kind of, like, mind expansion moment of, like, oh my god. And then as things are revealed and pieces are put into place, you're like, wow, this was actually really unexpectedly smart about the way that it unfolded. So
Yeah.
I obviously, if you've watched to this point, I hope you've already seen the movie, but if for whatever reason you haven't seen the movie yet, I would highly recommend going to see this movie, because I haven't looked at my top 10 admittedly since seeing this movie, so it's hard to say whether or not I liked it better than certain movies that are on my top 10. I've seen 36 movies, new movies this year. I think I've seen like 50 or 55, including rewatches or old movies. But out of the 36 movies I've seen this year, it's definitely in that upper echelon to be in consideration for my top 10. And we've seen some good-ass movies this year.
It's just a shocking one, I think, for me. I wasn't expecting it. The biggest con I have with this movie, other than, sometimes it feels Hallmarky, sometimes the writing isn't good. the biggest complaint I have is that they didn't promote this movie well enough.
See, I would agree and disagree in a way, because I think that the trailer is really good in the sense that it gives you absolutely nothing. Again, my family watching the trailer, and when I explained the movie to them, they're like, I never would have predicted that. And like, that's what I like. I like that the trailer doesn't give you anything. But I agree at the same time in the sense of the trailer also doesn't give you a good feel of the movie is going to be good. Like, the trailer doesn't look good, it doesn't make the movie look good, but I think that gets so complex because what makes the movie good is things you can't or shouldn't give away in a trailer.
Yeah.
So this is a movie that really needs to be carried by the after movie release marketing, the Rotten Tomatoes scores, the people hyping up this movie and talking about it, which is why we're talking about it on the podcast, because even though we already talked about it and gave a much more in-depth thoughts to each other after we saw the movie, I still want to talk about it because I want to give this movie the credit that it deserves for being such an unexpected hit for the two of us.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just so I can't get it out of my head. Surprising is the word.
Yeah.
I did not expect it.
So I have a question for you. Has your thoughts? It's been about 24 hours since we've seen the movie. Have your thoughts changed at all? Have you enjoyed the movie more or less? Anything?
Not drastically.
Okay.
I would say the things that I'm a bit harsher on the things that I was already harsh on because the more I'm like solidifying my way, like that was a bit much.
Okay.
I love Brandon's performance. I think he does a great job. That being said, there are a lot of times where I'm just like this very hallmarky between him and Sweeney's characters, and it just became very.
But again, I think that's purposeful.
It's purposefully
because
done.
it's his manipulation and things.
It's purposely done, but that also kind of takes it to my way. Okay, maybe it's just not my type of movie then.
Yeah.
I will also say I don't know. This film probably gets better on rewatch.
Probably.
Like, I think it does. Similar to like a Knives Out. Once you've seen it once and you know what happens, you can go pictures back to the movie.
And kind of realize the things you wouldn't have realized previously.
Right.
Yeah, and how actually genius the movie is. Or it could ruin it on rewatch and make you realize that the stuff you thought was set up wasn't actually set up and was just like coincidence that you made up to be. So I'm going to tell you something, and please don't let this ruin your enjoyment of the movie.
It won't.
There are other books. This is a series.
Okay.
And there are going to maybe be other movies with the success of this. So the reason why I told Carson not to let that ruin his enjoyment of the movie is because one of our group major complaints after seeing this movie is that at the end of the movie, it felt like they were setting it up for a sequel, and this movie should be a standalone movie. And because of the way that they end, where now Sweeney's character, Millie, is going off and presumably helping other people that are also being abused, and now she's going to be the Sherlock Holmes vigilante of people who are being abused. That's not what this movie should be at all. And this movie needs to be standalone. And as you can probably assume, the quality of the books plummets after the first one. I've heard mixed things about the second one on Reddit threads, and apparently the third one is horrible.
It's just writing the coattails of something that was really good.
Yeah. And you're trying to drag on something that never should have been dragged on. This is a really good standalone story that should have stayed a standalone story.
Have they confirmed officially that this is a...
So they haven't confirmed that there's going to be other movies, but again, there have already been other books written in the series. Okay. So given that this movie, I mean, we saw it in a pretty packed theater on a weekend that Avatar released.
Yeah, more packed than you would think.
Correct. So this movie is hopefully going to be pretty successful and deserves to be, but the downside of that means they might adapt the other books, and I don't know if I'm going to go see those because ultimately I want this to be a standalone. I don't want Millie to become a vigilante where now she's going around to other houses and helping other women. That's not why I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed the connections between the characters and the twists and reveals, but when I watch the second movie, it's not going to be a twisty reveal. Like you have now ruined the entire what made this movie special if you make another one, because you already know that she's going in to help someone who's abusive. This, for the first half or more of this movie, you don't know where they're going, and then when they reveal it, you look back and realize. But yeah,
it hurts. credibility of, what your film originally was about. It just changes it all. It's like a good example of a film that came out this year, or it might have been last year, I don't remember. Megan 2.0.
It came out this year. It was early this year, though, I think.
Sounds about right. Megan 2.0, which I didn't see. I heard it was horrible.
Well, because they turned basically a horror thriller into like an action movie, from what I heard, or like even an action comedy. I've never seen Megan or Megan 2, but that's what I've heard, so.
But I don't know. I think, look, putting it all together, because we weren't one to talk about this for very, very long. I just wanted to talk about it because I thought it was very important to say that this was actually good. Go see this movie. It's worth your time. I will actually recommend this to people. Oh, sorry. That's one other complaint I did have.
Okay.
And I don't care. It's not something that I really care about all that.
It doesn't like knock a point down or anything, but it does
This film could have easily been rated PG-13. You didn't have to have it rated R. I'm glad it was for the brutality at the end, but you didn't have to have it.
I strongly disagree with you. Only with the sense of the violence at the end of the movie made it feel so much more consequential. I liked how gory it got at the end, with the blood, with her stabbing him in the neck, with her cutting her stomach open, because it made it feel more on edge and more consequential. It kind of would have taken me out of it if they neutered that, in my opinion. If they went too safe and hid some of the blood and went a little safer, you wouldn't feel the fear. Because the fear comes when you're seeing her slice her stomach open.
Again, and what I'm saying is this doesn't hurt the point. It's not a thing that really matters. I'm just saying that there is a cut out there that's PG-13 where this film is completely fine. It doesn't enhance as well as R, but I'm saying that there is a world out there where this film could have been PG-13 and it would have been perfect.
See, I fully disagree with you on that. We don't have to go back and forth on it, but I strongly disagree, because I think that what makes the suspense feel more consequential at the end is the fact that she stabs him in the neck and blood spews out, or he rips his tooth out and he's gushing blood. You don't get that in a PG-13 movie. You don't get a version where you're seeing her cut her stomach open and it's gory and there's wounds and she's coated in blood. You don't get that in PG-13, and that made it feel so a big plot point of this movie is actions have consequences, and to me, it wouldn't feel consequential if the consequences weren't brutal.
I guess.
But that's just my thoughts.
Just depends.
Yeah, that's I guess I would say personal preference. I think it's core to the movie. You don't. I guess it is personal preference, but.
You want to talk about the Blue Man Group?
Yeah, you want to talk about the Blue Man Group.
Talk about the Smurfs.
Yeah, we're talking about Smurfs 3, everybody. Smurfs 3, they group up with the Blue Man Group. It's actually an Avengers Doomsday, or an Avengers Endgame style movie. It hasn't been released in theaters. We actually got an advanced screening of it. Because we're outspoken Smurfs fans, and we love the Blue Man Group. We're actually we can't, never mind. I'll cut that out. We're not supposed to talk. You don't know who the members are. Yeah. Anyways, Carson. Give me your thoughts on Avatar: Fire and Ash. It's so weird because I don't know your thoughts on this movie at all.
Yeah.
And I genuinely don't know if you enjoyed it or not.
So here's what I'll sum it up as, and this is pretext. I'm not a hater of the Avatar franchise. I thoroughly enjoy them. Do I think it's the greatest franchise of all time? No. It doesn't. I don't think it personally belongs in the greatest franchises of all time. I think the first one in and of itself is a very strong movie. I've always loved it. I love the characters. I love the world. The world building of this franchise is always good. And obviously you have the visuals. I've loved that first movie ever since I saw it. That was great. The second one, significantly weaker. Didn't hate my time. Didn't hate my experience. It wasn't bad. There was nothing absurdly wrong with it. It just was a clear case of sequelitis of we're setting this up so we can set up a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Fire and Ash. God. This is the problem with not having my thoughts all together. Because I'm going to say this and I could have a different tune tomorrow. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's better than Way of Water significantly.
Okay.
I do not think it is on par with the first one, but it's not far off for me. Fire and Ash has a lot of heart. It has a lot of character, and the world building is honestly just as good as it ever was, maybe more in the first movie. Fire and Ash is doing what I wished Avatar: Way of Water did, which is pitting other Na'vi up against each other, which is something that I kind of wanted for a while. I didn't just want to see the humans against the Na'vi, even though that's the core theme of the movie, and you will obviously end with that.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to see other tribes facing Na'vi. I wanted to see what the world of Pandora looked like from certain Na'vi that aren't, aligned with the main clans of the Na'vi.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that for me, Fire and Ash just blew my expectations out of the water with that. I liked everything they did with it. First off, Quaritch's character, fell in love with him in this movie. I liked him from Way of Water. I fell in love with that character entirely in this movie. I love everything they're doing with that character. Anytime Stephen Lang was on screen, honestly, it's cinema to me. It was great. His acting was great. His character was great. They wrote it very well. No part really didn't have an arc this movie. Like that's in Way Water did differently, is that I do feel like there are complete arcs in this film, even down to the little I don't know what her name is, the baby, not the baby, the young girl in the Sully family. What's her name?
Not the chosen one, the
Not
really
the chosen,
tiny
not,
one.
not
I
Sigourney,
have
not
no
Sigourney
idea.
Weaver.
You're asking the wrong.
Even she had an arc, and her arc was, never giving up. That's what the brother says to her. Like, remember what they say, you never give up. Whatever. Yeah. And she says at the end of the movie, a complete arc. The smallest of characters still gets one. It's not anything overly impressive for her, but it's still something to give your movie some oomph to it.
Mm-hmm.
This movie's a little darker than the other ones. I think you know that going into it because you're building towards this just big, ever-growing war that continues to happen. I like the choices they make with like Spider's character and Kiri. Is that how you say her name? Kiri?
The chosen one?
The chosen.
Yes, Kiri.
Sigourney Weaver, Kiri, whatever. I don't know what the names are so hard for me to pronounce. Unless you're Jake Sully, I don't know them.
Well, because they're not English names.
Because they're not English names. Kiri's character, I think, was handled much better in this film than Way of Water. It's still awkward, and this is a big con. It's still awkward to see Sigourney Weaver run around as a 23-year-old child, technically, or adult. I don't know how old Kiri's supposed to be, but it's not the same age as Sigourney Weaver, so it's a little odd sometimes when you listen to the voices. It's a little off.
I think she's supposed to be 13.
Oh, God, that's even worse. It really doesn't match. That being said, there's all the standards from Avatar. Like, do you want visuals, music, action sequences? By God, you're gonna get them. I mean, they're just as good, if not better, than they've ever been. They are all really phenomenal. And I think I will say, whereas Way of Water kind of had to reintroduce you to the world and to the new characters that came across, the thing I like about this movie is that it throws you right into it. Like, you do just get to jump straight into it. There's no real stopping. Like, it's just forward motion, full steam, and I kind of like that. So overall, I really like this movie. It's not, again, I'm going to say this and regret this later because I may and may not. I don't see this anywhere near my top 10 right now. I don't think that this is anywhere on that level, but it is a darn appealing, darn good movie with heart, characters, and just more world building towards a world that I really like to see. I'm excited to see the next one, but this is the one thing that walking out of Way of Water, I didn't know where they were going with Fire and Ash. Walking out of Fire and Ash, I have no idea where they're going with the next one because I feel like they leave it too open-ended to where you can't even guess where the story's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one bit I'll talk about later, specifically with Quaritch, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
All right, go ahead and tell me how wrong I am. And
so I am a huge Avatar hater. So I had never seen Way of Water until this week. And you can complain all you want about you didn't see Way of Water in theaters, so it obviously ruined your experience. I still think that Way of Water, I watched it on a gigantic 4K TV. And I still think Way of Water looks amazing. It is an abhorrent movie from a storytelling perspective. I think it is, like, I think the first Avatar movie is objectively an okay movie. The fact of what it pushed for technology at the time and the way it looked, does it hold up and it look as good as modern movies? No, but it also came out in 2009 and it looks better than some modern movies we get nowadays, which is impressive. So I think for what it did for the time was amazing, but I think they focused way too much on the technical and movie side of things and not on the story side of things. The second movie falls into that trap even more, and I think I could make a video twice the length of Avatar: Way of Water, poking so many plot holes into it, character inconsistencies, bad writing moments that make no sense. My mom doesn't watch movies, and when she does, she doesn't critique movies. She watches movies to enjoy them. My mom hated Avatar: Way of Water. My dad watches more movies than I do. My dad watched only 20 minutes of Way of Water and refused to finish it. It's not a good movie. It simply isn't. And it wastes 3 hours of your time. If the whole point of the Avatar franchise is to be a tech demo and show what technology can be and all of this, don't make it 3 hours. And if you're gonna make it 3 hours, you better have a fine ass story to carry you through those 3 hours, because a tech demo cannot last 3 hours, and unfortunately they do not have that. So I want to set that up for my opinions, and it will lean into my thoughts on Fire and Ash, because Fire and Ash, it's the best Avatar movie by a country mile for me. It is miles better than Way of Water, and it is definitely better than the first Avatar movie. But that's not as much of a compliment as it might seem to be. It's still not a great movie. It's not going to touch my top 10 at all. There were points in time where I was sitting there thinking, ooh, this could reach my top 10. This is really hitting its stride. And then the movie kept going. And kept going. In Carson's comment, I can't even remember if we started filming before he said it or not. I think you did say it on camera about that we watched a 3-hour movie that felt like 5 hours. Fuck, you're so right. This movie felt unreasonably long. And like, maybe I feel this way about this movie because they had elements that I really liked about it that I felt were only ruined by the fact that the movie continued going on. But like, yes, it is a better movie. Every element that I didn't, not every, a lot of the elements that I did not like about Way of Water and actively despised were actually utilized so much better here in a way that I actually started to get invested in the characters and get invested in their storylines and get invested in the world. That is another thing I will say. The Avatar world is insanely cool. I love the core message behind it. I love the idea of the story. I love Pandora. I love the tribalistic nature of it. I love the nature versus technology elements. But that's another reason why I'm so angry at the Avatar franchise, is because it's so cool and yet they ruin it with the bad story. And I think one of the reasons why Avatar Fire and Ash is the best Avatar movie for me is because it has the best world building elements. It feels a lot more natural to it. Carson already mentioned it, but one of my big problems with the other Avatar movies is they spend 30 minutes rushing you into the movie, giving you so much exposition that is just shitty exposition. In the first 30 minutes to an hour of an Avatar movie is objectively almost always terrible. This first hour of the movie is actually really fucking good. It's actually a really good movie, and then it continues going and starts to ruin itself. And I'll get into why and specifics as we get into it, but I just like, I don't want to say I'm torn on this movie. I know what my thoughts are on it, but it's such a hard thing where I had no hopes going into this. In fact, I did not want to see this movie. And if we weren't recording the podcast, I would not have seen this movie because I hated Way of Water. But after seeing this and seeing how much potential the Avatar franchise has, and when you have better storytelling, I guess I can say it leaves me more hopeful for the fourth one than I expected it to be, but at the same time, it doesn't, because it showed that they can't carry through with the good storytelling. So that's kind of a long rambled thing, and I didn't get too much in depth, but now we can actually get into depth on this. I want to start somewhere. Because you already mentioned it, I want to start here. Sigourney Weaver's acting. Sigourney Weaver's a great actress. She's been a great actress for decades.
Fantastic.
Horrendous in this movie. Actively horrible. Especially the scenes where she is in the purple world talking to their god. Oh my god, I wanted those scenes to be over with. It is actively it is an adult trying to be a 13-year-old, and it is horrible.
It's not the writing. It's really not. What the problem with that scene, it is her acting. It's just the fact that her voice can't get to a high enough pitch to make, like, the way it's written is written how a 13-year-old would do it, like wanting to explore into it, but her voice doesn't reach the level of what it needs.
And then it detracts from the writing because the writing is written to be emotional, and I don't feel no emotion because I'm just sitting there being like, this sounds so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like, why? I get that it's like, oh, she's the chosen one, and we find out, big reveal in this movie, that she's not a child, she's a clone, and that's why she sounds like Sigourney Weaver. But at the same time, they should have picked a different actress. Like, it makes sense why it's Sigourney Weaver now, because she's a clone, but at the same time, it doesn't sound good, and it sounds so not good that it sounds bad and detracts from those moments.
It's not the character, it's not the way it's written, it's not the idea of the character, it's just the fact that it sounds like Sigourney Weaver, when you realistically, you probably should have just said, hey, Sigourney, we're going to take your likeness from the Avatar, and we're going to task somebody else to voice you, because
we're going to try and find someone who sounds like a young Sigourney Weaver, and that would still work for a clone perspective, because here's the thing. You can say, oh, well, it's a clone, so she's supposed to sound the same. People's voices change over time.
Yeah.
And you go through puberty, your voice drops, and it changes. Whether you're a clone or not, you can make the argument that, oh, she sounds the same as Sigourney Weaver would have sounded as a child, and then grows up, and when she's an adult, she'll sound like regular Sigourney Weaver. They didn't do that here, and they just tried to make Sigourney Weaver sound younger, but she, no offense to Sigourney Weaver, doesn't know how to do that, and actively sounds bad.
It's just rough. It's hard to watch sometimes because of that, and it's really upsetting because, hey, talking about another character that I actually thought was really good, had some random moments that I'll talk about acting-wise where I was like, okay, it's just a little off, but everything they did with her and Spider, I actually really liked. I like the bond that they have. I like the story that they're telling with that.
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver throws it off. And here's what I was like, it's not every scene. It's just the scenes that have, like,
it is
big emotional...
Correct. So we're back after some technical difficulties here, because I am going to cut that out. Yeah, so we had some technical difficulties. That's the joy of recording in person in a house where other people are living. Things happen. We were talking about Sigourney Weaver's character in Spider's Bond. I really like Spider's character in this movie at points. I think that's, again, the problem with this movie going on so long is everything that they set up that I really liked, I feel like they kind of ruined as it went on.
They didn't.
Not everything, but most of it. Or at least it got worse.
No, I wouldn't even say that. They didn't ruin it. They didn't make it worse. They just didn't follow through on it because there's a whole nother movie coming out in 3 years that's going to end up doing that. And that's most of Spider's character beyond him being able to breathe without the mask.
Yeah.
They're setting up more between him and Quaritch, the relationship of father and son between those two. And I don't know, everything they give with Kiri and Spider, it works really well. And that's like one of the only things that's kind of completed is their relationship. Here's what I say about the Avatar franchise. And this one, I don't really think you can deny. It's not, sometimes the writing's bad, but
sometimes.
I'll give you this. If you're not a fan of the story, whatever. You can't deny the one thing is that the relationships and the way they're written and the way they're performed all together are phenomenal. And you believe every single relationship that's on screen, which is...
I wouldn't use phenomenal, but they are pretty good. And I think that they're the best they have been in this movie. But... since you kind of brought it up already, I'm going to talk about another thing that I really hate about the Avatar franchise, but was the best utilized in this movie, and that's Korra's character. I hate.
You love to hate him.
No. I hate the fact that they didn't let him die. I hate the fact that they couldn't be creative enough to come up with another villain and just basically cloned him. I hate that because I barely liked him in the first movie and then I hated him in the second movie. I will say his motivations and his conflicted nature and all of that obviously isn't paid off because it'll be paid off later, are the best utilized in this movie. I still don't like the fact that he's here, though, or the fact that he lived through this movie, because you can say, well, they're setting up another movie. This single movie is the length of 2 fucking movies.
Yeah.
And yet it still felt like characters barely got arcs in this movie sometimes.
I said they did get arcs, but that's a good point. I never said they were all great arcs.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's when you give me a movie that's over 3 hours long and you don't conclude it, like, and it's just, I'm gonna make an argument here because I sound like a hypocrite right now because my favorite property of all time is One Piece. And One Piece is the one of the longest running anime. It's not the longest, but it's been running for over 1100 episodes. It's been going for 20 plus years, and it's a very long story, but it's also, there's arcs in there that are completed every single time. One Piece isn't one continuous, it is one continuous story, but within that continuous story, there's arcs and arcs and arcs, and every single one of those arcs is complete, and the characters have an arc and they grow. You don't feel that at the end of these movies at all, and each one of these movies is the length of an arc of One Piece, essentially.
It's the Wicked for Good argument that we had a few weeks ago. Wicked on its own was a very good standalone movie because everybody had an arc and it was completed, even though the overarching goal was not done yet.
Correct.
The hard part with Avatar, and I get what you're saying, but the type of movie that it is, it's the same plot all the way through. It's the Na'vi fighting against the humans. It's the humans fighting against the Na'vi. That's the point of the films. And it's them defending their home. That's the running theme. And so that plot won't end until the very last one. So you got to come up with other subplots or character arcs to solve that.
Well,
so you have what you have.
And I talked about that with our friend that we saw this movie with, who Avatar is like his favorite movie franchise of all time, which I think is insane, but it is, and it was interesting to hear his perspective. But I talked about what I want out of, or what I expect would make me enjoy the next movies more, is they really need to, one, get a better story, but also, I understand that the point of these movies is the infinite cycle between nature and technology and the fight between the humans and the aliens, but every single one of these movies, all three of them, are the exact same. They're the exact same movie, for the most part.
I'll give that to you.
The ending of the movie always ends the exact same way in all three movies for the same exact reason. It almost copy-paste. The god comes and saves everyone with the animals. General Small Dick comes, doesn't die, and we move, and someone else does die. This is another thing I talked about with our friend, is this movie refuses to kill people, but also loves to kill people at the same time. They'll kill 1.5 million Na'vi. They kill the wife of the Water Tribe leader. They kill one of the sons of the Water Tribe leader. They killed the son of Jake Sully last movie. They love killing the Na'vi people. They fucking refuse to kill a single one of the bad guys. This movie, they killed the doctor, or the one whaling guy, or at least I hope to God he's dead.
No. If he somehow survives that, that's actually insane.
Correct. But I said the same thing when fucking General Small Dick died, and
Quaritch is different. No, Quaritch is different. And Quaritch did, like, they even say this, Quaritch is dead. The original guy, the evil man, is dead. And I'm piggybacking off you for this because I never got to talk about Quaritch a little bit whenever you said it. I love his character. I actually love the idea that they cloned him. I get that gets rid of the idea of having a new villain. That being said, they now get to play with an option, and this is why he is probably my favorite character in this whole franchise now, with dealing with the inner conflict within himself of, I am this now, I'm not that man. And Jake, this entire movie specifically, not so much the second one because it's more about, oh, he's back, it's Quaritch. Like, he's there, he's running around, and he has a couple moments throughout the second movie, but in the third one specifically, it's solely literally just looking at him going, dude, all you have to do is open your eyes and see what's around you. Like, you're not the same man you were. You're not even a man anymore.
Yeah.
And it's watching him deal with this inner turmoil of, you also see, like, he does want to try to be a dad to the spider. Mm-hmm. He wants to try to be this thing that he was. And honestly, it builds the conflict more between him and Jake a lot when you see how good of a father Jake is to Spider. And again, Stephen Lang's character even giving credit to that. Quaritch giving credit to that. I just love those inner turmoil character pieces, the character study of Quaritch for that reason. Mm-hmm. And I think that, whereas obviously he's not dead at the end of this movie. He falls into the fire. He's
obviously not dead.
They didn't confirm it, so we can't rule it out. It's a speculation at this
He's
point.
alive. There's no way in hell. But his character arc was not complete.
He's too important to just kill him off like that. If he's going to die, it's going to be at the hands of somebody else, or he's making a sacrifice for somebody. That's where they're going to rope it back around to, is he's going to come around.
It's funny because, again, another thing I talked about with our mutual friend is he's irredeemable to me. He is 100% irredeemable.
Oh, yes.
He has burned villages, slaughtered native civilizations. He has done so many irredeemable things to me that there are only two ways that I will accept the end of his character, and even then they need to do it well for me to actually care about it. He sacrifices himself to save his son, which ultimately is what they tried to do this movie, but he's still alive, so that's another thing in the sense of, like, I don't know if I'm gonna like the sacrifice himself for his son, because they literally tried to do that in this movie, and we know he's not dead because they can't commit to killing him because he's too important to the story or whatever.
Yeah.
Or he lives and he becomes a Na'vi and he becomes a true Na'vi, but he doesn't live with Jake Sully and all that. He goes off to the other side of the planet and lives his own life in exile or something like that, which I also wouldn't love because I just don't love his character being here. But
I don't like that at all, actually. I would prefer it to be he dies because he just decides that, screw the world. He doesn't care about it. He's going to be set in his ways. I don't think that's the route they're taking the character, just based on how they're setting it up, but that's an option. I would prefer to see him sacrifice himself for his son, but I think Quaritch has a very Kylo Ren type of presence where it's Kylo Ren has done all this horrendous stuff. Mm-hmm. And realistically, when you look at the grand scheme of the world, should not and cannot be forgiven for everything that he has done.
Correct.
So go out, maybe
sacrifice yourself.
Like, you can also sacrifice yourself for the Na'vi.
Well, and it's this. I do think that is probably how he will go out with the direction that they are obviously taking his character. Is he will sacrifice himself, A, for his son, and B, for the Na'vi people. I just think that, again, they already tried to do that with this movie where he falls trying to save his son type of thing. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, you already did this and you're just going to do it again, but instead of faking his death, you now actually kill him. So it's like, that's kind of my problem with these movies. They reuse the same goddamn plot points every single movie to the point in which we're going to get to the fifth movie, they're going to reuse the plot points and it's going to be tired. And I'm not going to care about it.
Yes. Yeah.
And funny enough, I care the most about this movie 3 movies in, but I can tell you if the next movie continues to repeat the same plot points over and over again, I'm going to actively care even less than I cared about the first 2.
Well, you got to do something new. And I feel like every movie, that's why this movie did so much better than Way of Waters. Way of Water felt very similar. It had new elements, but it wasn't like entirely new.
It was too 1-to-1, yeah.
Fire and Ash does a lot different. It still focuses on the same goal, humans against Na'vi, but you add, again, the thing that I was looking forward to the most, and we can talk about them too, this whole other clan of what is essentially Tusken Raiders, or Raiders I think is what they actually call them, that want to see Pandora burn, and these villages burn because they're savages, or...
Well, because they're against the other version, the other god. The god, yeah.
Yeah. And so, I think that's just such an interesting layer to add into it. Again, it's something I wanted for a while when it came to the world of Pandora. But I think that it adds a whole other layer to this whole war that they're fighting, because now, I mean, Quaritch is losing his mind slowly. But I think it's funny because you see him slowly morph more into Jake Sully, especially now he's dating a Na'vi. Like he is slowly turning.
Well, he's become what he hates.
He's becoming what he hates. And that's another theory that I could also see for his end is he stays like set in his ways, but he just becomes more savage. He becomes more like the Na'vi, and it's just like an all-out war between Na'vi. Like, I don't like that. That is another option
like that.
Speaking of Jake Sully, because we haven't talked about him, what do you think of Jake?
I feel the same way about Jake that I feel about this movie. I love some things about Jake, and I hate other things about Jake in this movie. I think there's a scene that I want to talk about, and the reason I'm going to bring it up now is because it has to do with Jake, and it is my least favorite scene in the entire movie. I actively hated this scene with every fiber of my being. And it's funny because it was one of our mutual friends' favorite scenes, and I know you're going to have love for this scene based on how you reacted when it happened in the theater. I hated this scene where he was going to kill Spider. I hated it. One, I feel like it makes no sense for his character and it's too much of a dime flip for him. I think it makes no sense for consistency. Yes, he didn't end up killing him, but I also knew he wasn't going to end up killing him. So it felt like unnecessary manufactured tension to me. It felt like I know for a fact he's not going to kill Spider. There's no way in hell they're going to go that direction because they don't take risks like that and they're not going to subvert my expectations because I don't trust Avatar to do that. So I know he wasn't going to do that. So I'm actively sitting there being like, I hate what they're doing with Jake's character in this moment. And I know he's not going to die. So just can we please end this fucking scene?
It's funny because I feel the exact opposite about everything what you just said.
And I knew you would based on how you reacted in the theaters and the way that our mutual friend said that he loved the scene.
Like, even just down to the biblical references of it. I love the idea, because it's also funny because when you think about it, Jake at the end of the day is still human at heart. Like, he was raised human, grew up human, he's human at heart, he's flawed.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to make mistakes. That being said, I love the waverness in something that he was always so strong in. Family first. This family is our fortress. Don't give up. You're not giving up anything. Always can find another way. Things are so dire and so bad in the moment, and he sees exactly where it's going. And again, the whole course of this film, a big theme of this film actually is dealing with grief, especially for some characters. That's Natiri's whole character is dealing with the loss of her son and coming to terms with accepting the emotions that she's feeling because it's different.
Yeah.
And the whole movie, she's telling Jake, kill Spider. He's going to go threat. Kill Spider. Kill Spider. Kill Spider. This, that, whatever. Jake, seeing how pressed against the wall he truly is, how it really is just going. It's never going to end, and how this is, like, in his mind, is the only way to go. It's a very dramatic scene for his character specifically because you've never seen him waver in his faith before in that sense, or at least what he believes.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he doesn't go through with it. And there was a split second I thought they might be ballsy enough to do it.
See, that's my thing, and maybe that's just because of how much I hate the Avatar franchise. Did not like the Avatar franchise up until this point, but I just didn't trust them to take any risks with it, and ultimately they did. And that was one of those things where it's like,
Sure.
I understand what they tried to go for there, and I can understand why people felt something with it. I just didn't because I knew they weren't going to take the risk because the Avatar doesn't take risks.
Sure.
And it simply was like in a movie that already felt like 5 hours long, felt like a scene that we could have cut out of the movie and would have changed nothing about the rest of the story for me personally.
Yeah, but like I said earlier, if you don't like the story, fine, whatever. It is a very generic, simple story. The complexity is within the relationships with the characters. And for Natiri and Jake, that's a big thing. For Spider and Jake, that's a big thing. And also for Spider and Natiri, because that she doesn't say the words, but that, Natiri basically breaking down, realizing that she's wrong and running back to get to Jake is a way of looking at Spider and
seeing. Well, no, she does say, "I see you."
I see you.
Yeah.
Like,
she finally accepts him. And I guess I will give the scene credit because I did like that moment and it's what facilitated her finally seeing Spider for the first time, which
yes.
I did really like. So I'll give the scene credit for that because we wouldn't have gotten that scene presumably without it. I do think you probably could have gotten there a different way. And I think it could have been something along the lines of she's thanking Spider for saving him, saving Jake, but...
Well, I will give you credit with this, and this is just the truth. You could easily make this movie an hour 40 minutes. You could easily tell the same story and do it. But what James Cameron, this is just something that he as a director and writer loves to do, is tell very slow, very strategically placed, built out relationships and characters and stories. One of the best relationships he's ever... I'll give you 2 examples that he's ever done.
Mm-hmm.
Alien 2, ironically, Sigourney Weaver. And the young girl in that movie have a great relationship. And then in Terminator 2 Judgment Day, you have John Connor and you have the Terminator. It's a wonderful relationship to watch blossom and grow. but you can't get there without having those smaller moments.
Yeah.
And it's a little, I'm going to be honest, a little different for at least for those, because those were 80s, horror slash hard R action franchise movies.
Mhm.
This is an action franchise, but it's also 3 hours long, and it like is meant to like slow down and have those deep characters. I think that they do it so well in all three. Though I do think Way of Water is still pretty bad.
So I'm going to disagree with you, and it's going to be funny because you're going to be surprised what I'm going to disagree with you on. I want these movies to be longer than an hour and 40 minutes. I want these movies to be, I think 2.5 hours is enough for this. I only think they need to cut 30 minutes, but most of that 30 minutes is in the end. Because I actively really enjoyed a lot of this movie up until we got to starting to end the movie. And I was like, oh, they're about to end the movie. And then it kept going. 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 And I'm like, okay, can we just end the movie now? You've already done, and I think it again goes back to they're redoing the same thing that they've already done in the other movies of we connect with the god and the god comes and saves us, even though the god is supposed to not get involved in. It has already been done in all 3 movies now, and ultimately I don't like that keeps coming up in the same exact way. The only difference is now it's the chosen one element, but at the same time, take the chosen one out of it and they already did the same goddamn thing in the other movies with just someone praying. So the fact that they do that again at the end of every movie, just cut to the chase. We know you're gonna do it again. Just end the movie. Like, that's my thing. Is I think 2.5 hours is a good length of this movie, but the fact that I already know you're just gonna repeat the same god getting involved and, oh, we're in such a desperate situation, how are we gonna get out of this? Oh, it's gonna be the god again. The fact that I already know you're going to do that just drags the end of this movie on so much longer.
Again, no, and I can't deny that. Like, those are valid points. But those are also points in my mind, and I would guess really most of the fandom of Avatar and most people, because a lot of people love this franchise. Valid points. I don't care.
I do, though, because you're asking 3 hours of my time.
That's great. And whereas you see you're wasting 3 hours of time, I see character building, relationship building, and small moments that impact towards a end goal. That, whereas I do agree the arcs that are completed aren't the best, or they're not as big as you hope they would be, steps towards a larger goal. It's like the MCU in a certain sense. Every movie had an arc. Not every movie was great, but every character had an arc in that movie. It was completed by the end of the day, and you move towards the larger goal, which would eventually be Thanos coming and snapping Half-Life and then Endgame coming and saving everybody. It's kind of the same thing, just on a much smaller but also large scale at the same time, because it's a longer movie than any of most of the MCU movies combined. They're not combined, but you get what I mean. So I don't know. I just don't. I can't agree with that. I hear what you're saying, and I think your points are valid.
And here's the thing.
I get it.
I am being hypocritical on it because One Piece does the same thing at times. A lot of stories do the same thing. I just think that using One Piece as an example, it still has a much better story that I genuinely care about more.
It's preference. Well, that's just an opinionated thing. It's just preference. You like it, great. You don't like it, great. That's just how it is. Like, you can't fault that.
Yeah, but moving into something that I did really like, because being an Avatar hater, I'm obviously going to sit here and hate on Avatar for most of the time, but I don't want to talk about some of the stuff I did like, and I'd say my favorite relationship in this movie, and I don't love the way that they ended it, but I think it makes sense, and I do think that... So I'm going to talk about something I didn't like, and that's going to play into something that I did like.
Okay.
I talked about how they love killing the good guys. They don't love killing any bad guys, even though they did kill the main general lady this movie, even though I really didn't give a shit about her, and she was just there to serve the plot.
Well, she's dead. We never saw a body.
Man, if she comes back in the next movie, I don't care about the podcast I'm walking out. I'm telling you right now, I'm being dead serious. If she comes back in the next movie, I'm walking out of the movie. But What I'm saying is they love killing the good guys, but unfortunately death isn't that consequential because you can just plug into the mother and see your friends again. Like, yes, there's consequence to it. I'm not saying that they can't still be sad and go through a grieving process because, yes, meeting with their spirit is not the same as having them there, but that is definitely something that is like a, I don't know, a weird choice. I understand the whole cultural conversation there, and it's an interesting world element.
It's
but
their
it does.
afterlife. That's basically what it is.
Yes, but the fact that I can tap into the afterlife as a living person definitely changes perspective on death, and then also kind of like changes the way that I view Natiri's grieving process, which I did enjoy, and we might talk about a little more in depth later. But the reason I bring that up is because one of the characters that died last movie, or the main character that died last movie, is one of Jake's sons. And I really liked Jake and his one remaining son's relationship in this movie. And the way that they were at odds, and Jake saying the things that you shouldn't say out loud. And man, the scene where he holds the gun up to his neck, I knew he wasn't going to kill himself, but that was my moment with your like spider moment where you're like you had a split second where you thought they might do it.
I thought he was like.
I had a split second in this moment where I can't remember his son's name, but he's holding the gun to his head, and I'm like, the fact that they were at least willing to go there, whether he does it or not, impressed me.
Yeah,
it took it to a direction, and it was a moment that I never saw coming, and I have to give this movie credit for doing it.
I thought they were going to do it, and then I used logic to dictate okay, if they were genuinely going to do it, they would have heard the gunshot. They wouldn't have shown him actually walking up. It would have been a reveal of them walking up singing.
We wouldn't have seen him kill himself.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And I don't know. I think their relationship was just great. It was great in Way of Water. I liked how they built it out here just even more. Again, dealing with grief and Jake dealing with his grief, learning to trust his son again after his son obviously did not kill his brother.
Yeah, and Jake knows that deep down, but he's angry. And he's going through the grieving process, and when you're angry, you say things you don't mean.
Well, and that leads to another fantastic scene with Jake and Natiri, where Jake blows up in Natiri.
Oh, I love that scene. That's a great scene. I agree with you.
And I love how the movie does set it up in the beginning. And that's also kind of Jake's arc is coming to terms with it, I guess, in a certain sense, too. Mm-hmm. Because they do say, like, early on in the movie, like, they didn't talk about it. They just pushed past it.
Jake threw himself into salvaging guns, and Natiri threw herself into the native grieving process. And that grieving process did not include talking to your spouse or your family.
Right. And so it just all comes full head in this movie. And, you know, it makes the logical argument of, okay, so what happens when somebody close to them really dies again? Like, they're not going to repeat the same arc, but like I would guess they're building up towards a bigger death in the family. That
really, I don't
think Jake's dying until at least the last movie.
You think Jake dies though?
I think there's a chance he would die for the movie. I think Natiri is going to die probably next movie, if not next movie, because there is a time jump.
That's what I've heard as well. Yeah,
there is going to be a time jump between this movie and the next movie, so I'm willing to guess that Natiri would die that movie. If not, big whoop, it's not a thing that I really care about.
I don't know. I think that would mess things up with Jake's character and his arc.
I don't know if it messes things up with his character or ruins his arc. I think
I guess that's coming from a place of I don't trust James Cameron to make it not ruin his character for me.
I trust James Cameron, but I also have a very different approach to this franchise at this point. Plus, this is a story that technically I think he's had completed for the past 10 years. Like, he knows where this story is going to end, and he's written it out fully. I wouldn't be surprised if he's written the entire script for every single movie at this point. It's just a matter of...
Well, they've already started filming 4, so...
I wouldn't be surprised if they've already started filming, they started filming pieces of 5. They were filming 2 and 3 back to back.
Correct. Well, that's why they came out 3 years apart, and because the longest part of this movie is the visual effects aspect, which I don't want to cut into our conversation about the relationships, but I just gotta say, this movie is unbelievable. It genuinely, I will say, and I talked about this with a friend, the friend in the parking lot. There's no way that this movie didn't use practical effects at times. There is no way. There were scenes that I will say, if they were not practical effects, I don't think my brain will be able to comprehend it. I legitimately think it would blow my brain in a way that I will never be able to look at this movie again the same. And it's only one scene. It's only one scene.
It's a scene with water though, isn't it?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's not. No, the water looks amazing, but the water also looked amazing in Way of Water. So, no, it is one scene. And if they used all CG for this, I will never be the same as a human being.
Okay.
And that is the scene where Spider is covered in the moss, and he's like wiping it off of him, and it's like all of that. That was real moss. There's no way that wasn't real moss that he was wiping. Not the stuff that covered him. That stuff was obviously CGI. But after all the lighting's done and he's waking up and he's peeling it off of him, the moss that he's peeling off of him has to be practical.
Well, but that's a different thing, and that like.
But no. The reason
he's the only human actor in the movie that has a physical, tangible prop to actually operate with.
True. But to be fair, the reason I bring that up is because 99.9999999% of all of these movies is CGI. They're all shot in blue screen rooms, and there's
James Cameron is the opposite of Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan is like, I never want to use CGI. He made a goddamn nuclear explosion for Oppenheimer because he refused to CGI an explosion. And in the Avatar movie, James Cameron's like, no, it's all going to be visual effects. What are you Googling over there?
Is anything practical in Avatar?
It has to be. It has to be.
For the realistic interaction.
Well, the masks are practical, so...
But, like, anytime they're in, like, the labs, that's practical.
You think so?
I just looked it up.
Oh, it is?
Like, for the most part, it's practical in the labs.
Okay.
They said anytime it's, like, a realistic setting, like, scene-wise,
okay,
it's practical.
Okay. Because in the first movies, I'm pretty sure, like, 90% of it was digital, but maybe I'm wrong.
I'm pretty sure the labs. I don't know.
Maybe. But I'll still say, like, it is a visually unbelievable movie at times. Yeah, I think another one that has to be a set, because there's no way in hell it wasn't, was the intricacies on the ropes of the air nomads when you're getting close-ups on the ships. There's no way in hell they didn't build those, because
maybe
you want to talk about how hard hair effects are, which the hair in these movies is insane. I could see individual tweeds on this rope. There's no way in hell they went in and animated that.
They could have.
There's no way.
They've had years to do it. They totally could have.
I don't know. That would blow my mind in a way that, like... And again, you can say, well, like, that's the point of the movie. The point of these movies is that they look insane and they're the best visual masterpieces. But again, I go back to my argument of, don't make it 3 hours then. Like, I don't need a 3-hour tech demo.
Sure.
There's a reason why a video game tech demo is typically a 3-hour-long game when a normal game is, or not even 3 hours, sorry, a tech demo of a game is like a 45-minute to an hour-and-a-half experience.
Yeah.
And not a 20-hour experience like a normal video game is.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think that I don't want to touch too much on the visuals because, it's common knowledge that they have good visuals. I just think that this is probably, I mean, it should be the best visually.
Correct, and it is. It is definitively the best because they get better with every movie. They
get significantly better.
They make leaps and bounds in a time period that I didn't even know you could, but I guess, like, I don't know, like, computing technology is at an exponential uptick right now with its powers. So the difference between 2009 and 2022, and then the difference between 2022 and 2025 is big.
Can we also talk about how this movie has the most out of place F-bomb in any movie ever?
Yeah,
like
that's fair.
It just randomly is kind of inserted there, and I'm just like, have to have that.
True.
You could have said anything, and I'm just like, I get a callback to a joke that was set up earlier.
We also got our second unexpected Na'vi nipple in this movie.
Yeah.
We got nipple in the first one when Sigourney Weaver's avatar is in the case, and her boobies are just dangling, and it doesn't focus on it all that much, but you see the nips. And then I would assume you know what scene I'm referring to.
I don't.
You don't?
No.
You see Natiri when she's getting bandaged up after she got the arrow through her, and she's getting covered up. There is a brief but noticeable moment when it's clear she ain't wearing nothing, and you can see it.
That's James Cameron for you.
James Cameron loves to put titties into PG-13 movies. Look at Titanic.
Also, ironically, Kate Winslet is also in this movie. What character does she play? Which Na'vi? Because I was trying to figure out this whole movie. Which character does Kate Winslet?
Couldn't tell you. Could not tell you. But there was another thing I was going to transition to, and I totally forgot it. What was the?
Oh my God! She plays the Water Daughter.
Interesting. Well, you probably didn't notice because
Oh no, the Queen. I'm sorry. She plays the Queen.
Oh, interesting.
Didn't even realize that. Didn't even sound like her.
No, it didn't. I did not clock that.
Never would have guessed that.
Maybe that's our own naivety, but another thing to give this movie credit that I do want to talk about is, and I've kind of already talked about it, but I am so mad at the Avatar franchise because they have such a cool concept and cool world that I feel like they're wasting with subpar stories. This movie is the best in terms of the world and world building. I love the way that the world building feels so much more natural in this movie than it has in the other two, with the introduction of the air nomads and the fire tribe and the reason for them interacting and it feeling. This movie felt the world felt the most lived in and felt the most like real in a way that I have to give it credit. In terms of like, I really can appreciate what they tried to do in the other movies, and I think they accomplished it to varying degrees. And you can say, oh, well, of course it feels the most lived in, because it has been. I'm saying from a Na'vi perspective and introducing us to more Na'vi and all of that, this movie does that the best.
It just changes and adds so much to this world that wasn't there before. And I appreciate it for doing that.
Yeah.
My dog is about to full on sprint down these steps. You can already hear it. See, I don't know. I think that this movie, again, I'm saying airship golem, like the D&D term, but that's not what they're called. The air Navi. Let's just call them the air Navi.
Well, they're the air nomads. That's what they're called.
Air nomads. That's what they're called. Thank you. That's again one aspect that's added to this film that's completely different from anything we've ever had. It
also gave us one of the best moments of the movie. That goddamn suicide bomber was insane, dude.
Bro, when
she lights the arrow and says we are one with the fire or whatever she says, shoots the arrow, lights the dude on fire, he's screaming like a psychopath and crashes in. All three of us that were in a row, we lost our minds. We're like, oh my God, that's insane.
I was like, that scene did solidify how crazy this other tribe and clan.
Correct. It sets it up really well.
And it also sets up, like, I believe that this chick who, I don't know what her name is, but...
Goth Mommy.
Sure. I believe that she is clinically insane.
Oh, yeah.
And wants nothing...
Well, again, she is supposed to represent the uncivilized tribe. Again, these are all tribes, and she go into the Amazon and see the cannibals. It's already insinuated that they might not be cannibalistic, but scalping is a big thing in this movie as well. Cutting off the bands, talking about scalping each other. That's a thing in native tribes, and uncivilized native tribes do that more often than civilized tribes. So it's showing us that dichotomy between already considered uncivilized to a human perspective, but civilized in their own way and uncivilized.
Yeah.
So, and it's the complexities of the Na'vi. They're not... Because most of the Na'vi tribe that we've seen have all been pretty much the exact same. And I think that's the thing that I like about the introduction of a now villainous Na'vi tribe is they feel the most different. The air nomads feel the exact same other than their mode of living as the water Na'vi. And the water Na'vi feel the exact same as the sky or tree Na'vi. And it's...
They feel incredibly threatening.
The only difference between the Na'vi that we've been introduced to up until this point is their genetic makeup, with whether they have monkey tails to climb through the trees or they have water fish-like tails to move through the water.
Yes.
But in terms of personality and things like that, they feel pretty much the same. This is the first one that feels the most different to me.
And
I think that is a thing that, again, should be celebrated when talking about a movie that I ultimately am not all that high on.
I agree with that. I agree with all that wholeheartedly.
God, there's another thing I wanted to talk about.
I'm trying to think if there is any, like, the issue is walking out of a movie and, like, not getting a chance to read and think about it.
Fair enough.
It's hard for me,
especially a movie that's 3 hours long. And again, like we've already talked about it, so I'm not going to beat the dead horse, but it is really like this movie should not have been 3 hours.
I don't think any of the movies should have been 3 hours.
No, they should.
I give you that. The runtime does feel exceedingly long. I've always said that about the Avatar movies. I think they are extremely long, and that's why it makes the rewatchability of all the movies so
well,
different.
because that's one of the things that we talked about is, like, there was a point in time when watching this movie where I thought this is going to be in my top 10, and I want to rewatch this movie again in IMAX.
Yeah.
But that was a point in time where I thought I was already over halfway through the movie. Looking back, we were, like, barely a third of the way through the movie, and the movie kept going and going and going, and now I'm like, as much as I know it would be cool to see this in the ideal format and see it in 3D IMAX, I don't want to spend another 3 hours of my time watching this movie.
There were 3 points in this movie where I was like, okay, this is probably where they're ending it. It was Jake going into the cage, being on the side, or not being on the side.
I thought that they were going to end it in...
with him being captured.
Well, either that, or they were going to end with his rescue, and that was going to lead into the next movie or something like that.
My thing was, I thought one of 3 ways was it was going to end when he was captured. It was going to end when they were building up all the tribes, collecting together, and they were going to go to war.
Mm-hmm. I just remember some of my other points that I'll give after you talk, but they actually relate to stuff.
And I thought the next movie would just be them going to war, which I thought would have been stupid, but I was like, okay, I guess they could have ended there. Or they were going to end it... oh my gosh. At the time, with Kiri fully becoming one with, like,
the Na'vi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I remembered quite a few other points.
Okay.
They're relatively brief, but you might have some back and forth on them. I'll start with the negatives, because the negatives might sound like nitpicks, but they are negatives that I have.
Okay.
One, I hate the fact that they gave the god a face. I know it sounds stupid, but the fact that the god had a face, to me, it felt so stupid. And funny enough, our mutual friend agreed with me, actually.
It was just weird.
He was like...
I can't say it's stupid, it's just weird.
I just didn't like it. I felt like it being this omniscient, like, just energy and connect... It makes it feel like it's a being.
Yeah.
What they've set up so far has always been it's a neural network connectedness of all of everyone's consciousness, and that's what the god is. But now it feels like a singular entity, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
So that's another nitpick for me. Another one, this is such a minor nitpick, but it is a nitpick nonetheless. Man, when Neytiri is flying away from the military base after saving Jake, why did no one chase her? Why did they let her get away? They had so many goddamn helicopters. They had gun turrets that could have shot them down. They had other Na'vi that could have chased them. They just let them get away. And you can make the argument of, oh, well, they let them get away because they know they can get them. Clearly, they fucking didn't get them later. Like, they should have chased them down. Like, it makes literally zero sense why they didn't at least try and hunt them down. I know why they didn't try to shoot them down necessarily, because Spider is on there, and there was that conflict about not wanting to kill Spider and some people not wanting to kill Spider. But I still am like, it's a nitpick, but it is, again, like, they could have at least chased, like, there's no reason you didn't chase after them. Again, it's a nitpick, but it's another thing.
It's nitpicky things, but it's like, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. But funny enough, that exact same thing leads into one of my biggest positives on the movie that I forgot to talk about up until this point, is I love the internal conflict of the humans.
Yes.
I thought that was a really strong beat that was really well done here, in terms of none of them are good people fighting for good reasons. You have some individuals, like the scientist, who are fighting for good reasons, but all of the main humans are all still very evil, but fighting on different fronts and internally conflicted, which the reason why I really like it is because without ever seeing Earth, it tells you exactly why Earth fell apart and was destroyed, because all of these people are still internally conflicting and they're fighting with each other and they can't agree on anything, and it's going, ultimately, I hope that that's what leads to their destruction. Is it isn't the Na'vi necessarily, like it's a contributing factor, but I hope that a big element of the way that the humans are drawn off of Pandora and never come back is because of their own internal conflicts and inability to work together and find a common goal.
Well, especially with things like the marine biologist, who just did kind of leave and exit the movie. You don't really see him again.
Correct. He was kind of like a Deus Ex Machina plot convenient device, but I still thought he was. I liked that he was there to have that internal conflict.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't know. Look, I don't have much more to say about this film. I look, you can nitpick it all you want.
No, I know. Well, that's why those were my last three main points that I remembered that I covered with a friend of ours. I'll end it off on this conversation. We can go as long or as short as you want on this.
Okay.
Something that me and our friend talked about is I think that the best thing that they can do is there's going to be 2 more of these movies. There's going to be 5 total Avatar movies.
Correct.
Avatar, the first one, is a pretty standalone movie.
Yes.
Avatar: Way of Water is not a standalone movie. It is very clearly a part 1 and part 2.
Classic case of sequelitis, yes.
Correct. The next 2 movies need to be the same way. They need to be a part 1 and part 2 to each other. But here's the thing. It needs to be more of a part 1 and part 2 than this movie was. The next movie has to end on a major cliffhanger in a way that none of these movies have before.
The Teary dying.
Maybe, but they need to end on a major cliffhanger, because if you're going to end the Avatar franchise, I don't want to get 2 more semi-connected, disconnected movies telling connected but isolated stories. It needs to be basically one big movie to end it off, cut in half. Essentially, is what these next 2 movies.
Which I think they are. Again, he's planned it out far enough in advance. If not, okay, big whoop, whatever. But I agree with you. I think that's what they should do, just based on how it's all been set up. It's like Mission Impossible. You know, the last movie was technically one movie that just split up into 2 bits. Fast and the Furious was kind of the same thing right now. Fast 10 was a part 1 to Fast 11's part 2.
Yeah.
That's what this needs to be. And say what you will, there's a good chance they could also come out and say, hey, we're making 5 Avatars? Yeah, now we're making like 17.
Well, to be fair, I believe that James Cameron originally said he wanted to make like these movies forever, and it's only been recently that he's came out and said he's only going to end up doing 5 because he wants to do other things than Avatar. Yeah. Which, no offense to James Cameron, he ain't young anymore. He ain't no spring chicken. So we'll see how much after he finishes Avatar. Yeah. I believe the last Avatar movie is currently scheduled for like 2030.
That sounds about right.
Because
the next one's 2028.
Correct. I believe they're supposed to be every 3 years. So it'll be like 2031 or something is when Avatar officially like ends. That's 6 years away. So
yeah, it's not far away. Oh, that's scary though. That's not far away though. Oh God.
Well, it is. I mean, it's far away and not far away at the same time. Like it's a long time and it's not a long time, and it's all about, I guess, perspective.
Yeah.
But
look, all that being said, I had a fun time with this movie. I hear your complaints. I disagree with you on a lot. I don't blame you for your thoughts, your opinions, your preferences, your own. I think that this movie is really good. It's not as good as the first one. I really like that first movie a lot. It's close, but it's not as good as the first one. I think this is leaps and bounds better than Way of Water. Just on a world building, conceptual level, character study, all of it. So
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I disagree in the sense of I think this is the best Avatar movie. I think it is I hate Way of Water, so it is obviously leaps and bounds better, but I still think it is better than the first one to me as well. Maybe that's because I don't have the nostalgia of the first one, being an Avatar hater since the beginning, but I don't know. We're gonna watch the other one, and we're gonna talk about it on the podcast in 3 years when it comes out.
Right.
By then, I'll likely be moved in person, and the podcast will look completely different, which that's actually a crazy thing to think about.
You'll be
By the time the next Avatar movie comes down, there's a high likelihood that I will have moved back down to Florida, and we'll have a studio for the podcast in my house, and it'll be like, just think about that. That's kind of crazy.
It's also going to be really crazy because they're going to delay the game again. That you'll have moved down here, you'll have moved to Virginia, all before GTA 6 releases.
Correct. That is pretty crazy. Yeah,
it's going to happen. We're going to get all the Avatar movies before. Oh my god.
I have a question for you, and this is like, we technically should have this off the podcast, but I'm curious. Do you want to review GTA 6 on the podcast when it comes out?
I'll do a little snippet of it when I play the entire game because that's probably I love GTA.
Okay, that's fair.
So I'll talk about it, but there's no reason for us to like both review that. As
well, I was gonna say, instead of a movie, do you want me to play through GTA 6 and talk about it as a topic?
We'll talk about that when
Okay.
We still got like a year.
Yeah.
No, sorry, we got
we have another 5 years.
5
yeah,
years.
we have plenty of time.
Because it's gonna get later.
I'll be in my 30s by then, honestly, when GTA 6
really.
GTA. We'll be playing GTA 7 before we play GTA 6.
God.
So
God.
yeah, and you know what's gonna be fun? No, never mind. I'm not gonna make that joke. But yeah, that's our thoughts on Avatar: Fire and Ash. Next week will be another in-person episode. It will be our last of the 2 in-person episodes that we have. I will also say it will be delayed. The next podcast episode will not come out. Maybe it'll come out by Monday. It's very iffy. It is Christmas time. It is Christmas season. Things are a little wonky with visiting family and schedules and things like that, but you will get an episode next week, and that episode will be on the next 3 episodes of Stranger Things that are dropping on Christmas Day.
Yes.
So look forward to that. I am very excited. I know you're very excited. We're getting to the end of Stranger Things. It is unbelievable to think it's crazy to think that between GTA 5 and GTA 6, we got we've gotten all of Stranger Things between GTA 5 and GTA 6.
We got all of Better Call Saul, all of Stranger Things, all of Yellowstone before GTA 6.
We got 2 Avatar movies before GTA 6.
Finally. God. Dude.
Yeah, it is bonkers.
Two Spider-Man games.
Yeah.
No, are we gonna have 3 Spider-Man games before GTA?
Well, technically 3 because Miles Morales, if you count that. So there's already been 3 Spider-Man games before GTA 6.
Oh my god, dude!
Best running joke of all time. We got
insane.
this before GTA 6. Yeah.
God, dude.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. But yeah, next week will be the next 3 episodes of Stranger Things. Will probably be delayed. I cannot guarantee when it'll come out, but it will come out at some point next week. Look forward to that. Carson, do you have anything to say to end this off?
I want to go to bed.
Yeah, we're gonna go eat dinner after this. Woo. But thank you guys for watching and listening. This has been another episode of the Nerdy Nimrods podcast, the only podcast on the internet where your 2 favorite Nimrods talk all things nerdy. We can be found on all podcast hosting platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you listen to podcasts on. We are there at Nerdy Nimrods. You can also find us on all social media platforms, Instagram, again, YouTube. You can find us on TikTok. I post 3-minute reviews of anime. Carson hops in there once in a blue moon to talk about something. Drop a like and follow. Let us know your thoughts on Avatar. Are you an Avatar hater or are you an Avatar lover? I mean, I know you're not a lover, but still, do you enjoy Avatar? Do you hate Avatar? Let us know your thoughts. Drop a like and subscribe. And as always, stay nerdy.